Fourth and Goal podcast.
That's all it is. But there's a lot of airspace to cover for Milroe. Still looking. Firing. Near corner. It's caught! Touchdown, Alabama!
Strebler dials it up. End zone! Touchdown!
They're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles! Touchdown!
There ain't no podcast like the Fourth and Goal podcast. Like, hit that subscribe button and share.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is the instant reaction show to week 6 of college football. And it's me and Justin Pollington breaking down the action that has happened on Thursday, Friday, and now this beautiful, wonderful Saturday. Andrew Burns is not with us. I heard he is actually at the NASA space station checking out some pretty cool stuff. So
he has a bad case of diarrhea.
Yeah, he's actually testing out, the bathroom options for when you're in a spaceship. So making sure that all works out. But Justin, we talked previously before going live. Talk about Michigan and what just happened against Washington. 27-17 victory for the Huskies and a revenge game from the national championship. Give us your analysis on that.
This game. See, I'm watching this game, and I'm like, man, Orgy is awful. Obviously, you're not going to go back to Davis Warren. He was awful. They bring Tuttle into the game. He kind of gives a little spark, and then ultimately throws an interception, then a fumble on back-to-back drives. And it draws me to the conclusion, and it really pisses me off, because in the day and age of a transfer portal era, you're going up against a team who has a transfer portal quarterback. And I'm sitting here watching all these other teams that have transfer portal quarterbacks. Duke, I mean, go down the line, you name it. Everybody's got transfer portal. And these are the three options that Sharon and Moore in Michigan thought was the best way to lead their team this year. I got news, because when Mason Graham's gone and Kenneth Grant's gone and Will Johnson's gone and all these guys are gone next year, it's only going to get worse for Michigan. It's frustrating. I knew it wasn't sustainable to win like this. You got to have some kind of functioning passing game, and obviously they don't. I'm not going to blame it all on the quarterback, because I don't think they have receivers either. And some of that defensive scheme is flawed. I think there's a reason that Wink Martindale doesn't have a job in the NFL right now, and he had to come back to college. But that's besides the point. Maybe I'm a little emotional, a little hot right now about how that game played out. But Michigan, they're staring an 8-4 season right down the barrel. I mean, could be 7-5. They might get knocked off by somebody else down the line, because this way of it's not sustainable, the way that they're trying to operate this program right now. I don't know if they're trying to come out of it, if they're trying to reinvent themselves, reinvent the wheel, do something different. But it's not going to work, man. It's got to change. It's got to change quick. Unfortunately, it's not going to be able to change this year, because quarterback play that we have on the roster is awful. And if it gets to the point where it gets really bad, you might as well just throw Jaden Davis in there and get them ready for next year.
The problem with Michigan, you thought just because you win a national championship, everything's A-okay. There's nothing more high in your life. Yes, Harbaugh leaves. Yes, you have the most draft picks entered, but you think, we could just run this back with this roster in the same style of scheme with the new defensive coordinator and have really no roster change, even though you have a ton of roster turnover. Because Michigan, like last year's team, when they took offensive linemen like Ladarius Henderson and other key impact guys in the portal that weren't necessarily superstars, Josiah Stewart is another name, which he's kind of became like one of Michigan's focal points on defense in terms of pass rushing. You cannot that was a recipe for success. No, they didn't abuse the portal like Dion, but they did a really good job of just identifying their team needs. And it more of as a testament to probably Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minner, because they address the needs. And then there's just a lot of people leave on this staff. They really don't know what direction they want to go in. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that, yes, obviously, if you're a Michigan fan or at the Michigan University, yes, you want your football team and all your athletic teams to succeed, but you kind of like have to figure out what the process is. And I think Michigan fans also just had a little bit too high of expectation of we're going to be 10-2 right back in the college football playoff. Like they thought they can legitimately compete. There was a quarterback problem all offseason. Orgy did not make the progression that Michigan personnel and coaching staff thought they would make. And they're on their third quarterback right now. And while Jack Tuttle kind of lit a spark for this Michigan offense coming into the game, I mean, they scored 17 unanswered. And shout out to Colston Loveland and Donovan Edwards. But Washington has a very experienced quarterback. They have a lot of transfer portal acquisitions that keep their team competent on both sides of the ball. And Jed Fish is a good head coach, man, and he identified the problems at Washington right away. He knew it was going to be a challenge. He knew that they weren't going to be able to come in and dominate right away and get them back to national title success. But he's doing a good job of keeping this team competitive while still trying to rebuild and find his identity and coaching style at Huskies program. I watched this game, man. I think Washington played better. I think they brought the fight to Michigan. The plays that they were able to hit, Michigan made some crucial mistakes. I mean, look at that PI call on Washington's last offensive drive on Will Johnson. Like just little things that attention to detail. I don't think it's also all there for Michigan either. I think that they are not the same team that they were last year. And the coaching staff has to realize and identify that and find a way to improve. Maybe not you got to obviously make progression through this season, but you also have to do it going into next year. You have to show something like, hey, we should still keep Sharon Moore the head of everything.
Yeah, and if I have to look at Steve Belichick's stupid man bun one more time, I'm going to fucking throw up. But yeah,
Cal just got a touchdown, by the way.
They got out-coached in the second half, clear as day. Obviously, the better coaching staff tonight resided on the Washington sideline because they made all the adjustments that needed to be made. They came out with the running quarterback who kind of gave them a spark on offense. They got the turnovers on defense. Tuttle entered the game, gave the team a flash, and was no longer a surprise anymore. They figured him out quickly. And it's just not the same. As a Michigan fan, I'm living in reality. It's not what it was, man. It's not gonna be what it was for a long time. It's gonna take a while to rebuild this. As I said, they're gonna lose a lot of key guys next year. They may be worse.
Arkansas gets a stop, and they have a chance to score here.
Yeah, so we'll update some live games right now. Arkansas has got the ball. They're down by 1 point to Tennessee late here in the fourth quarter. And also Miami and Cal are tied up at 7 apiece.
My upset pick of the week is looking like it's not coming into fruition.
Yeah.
What game did you take on? What game did you take on Thursday?
I actually took South Carolina.
Oh yeah, and then Andrew took Rutgers.
Rutgers, yeah.
So we had a bad week on it, but a team that I gave some curious. I was curious about doing it. I considered it. I was like, no, this is just way too stupid, and I will never hear the end of it. Once the Crimson Tide beat the crap out of the Commodores, but obviously, we saw what happened today.
Yeah.
40-35 win for Vanderbilt. Funny enough, I actually watched this game from start to finish. I was just like, man, I want to see how Vanderbilt does and see what type of team they are. And to beat the number one team in the country for a program like that, that's just been struggling to even have a fighting chance in the SEC, for them to just be able to compete with a powerhouse of a football team and a football program, that says a lot about their whole coaching staff. It says a lot about their players. And shout out Diego Pavia. He is the hardest working, most I don't give a fuck about my body quarterback I've ever seen. Like his if he played EA college football 25 the way he plays in real life, dude, his wear and tear ratings would be amazingly awful. Like they would just it would be real. I think it would shock him a little bit.
I think what he did today was remarkable, and it was almost crazy to see Vanderbilt on the offensive side of the ball was just the more physical team. I mean, they were running the ball on Alabama. They were kind of doing whatever they wanted to with them. I think this week is a sign of a paradigm shift in college football. I think overnight that there's more parity in the game now, and it's probably a good thing because if you ask me, after watching today and these last couple of weeks, I think anybody's beatable, dude.
I would put Texas in a tier of its own right now. And then
Ohio State, Oregon will settle it out next week. But Ohio State looks vulnerable, man.
I'll bring this up in a little bit actually about Ohio State. We'll get to talk about that game and whatever. I want to stay on this. Diego Pavia is exactly what a team like Vanderbilt, a team that struggles to win games as like over history. And he was a really hard player at New Mexico State, man. They had a lot of success there, a program that has been too successful over the latter part of the 2000s. And they go in and compete for a CUSA championship, lose to a pretty good Liberty team. And then he comes to Vanderbilt, competes with Nate Johnson, the former Utah quarterback that ended up seeing some action last year, wins that job, and is able to get Vanderbilt to its third win of the season. This is not a common thing for Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt doesn't win 3 football games sometimes in a year. They don't win an SEC game typically, let alone against a top-rated. Like, I think their last like good SEC win was Kentucky when they had Levis and like were actually like pretty competent. And now this year, man, I mean, Vanderbilt, they obviously gave Missouri a run for their money, which we'll get into that game in a little bit. But
I think they were. I want to say the stat was Vanderbilt was 0-64 against top 5 teams.
Top 5 teams, and
so
they were 0. Alabama was like 60-3 or something versus unranked opponents.
Yeah,
and I want to say it was something around that. Yeah, I think
Vanderbilt. That stat was pretty gnarly.
I think the key to this game, the outlying stat, is Vanderbilt was 12 for 18 on third down conversions. And it wasn't just like they were third and shorts all the time. They were third and longs, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12. They were able to convert and be able to keep drives alive because of – and that offense is fun to watch, man. It's a spread option. There's a lot of, RPOs, and Diego Pavia, the way he's able to manipulate defenders with his movement in the backfield, whether he has the ball or doesn't, is just crazy.
Fact check really quick, and then I'll let you get right back into it. So coming into today, Vanderbilt 0-60 versus top 5 teams.
Yep. So, and I mean, Alabama just made mistakes. They weren't picking up blocks great to begin the game. They had a hard time getting their ground game to go at times. I mean, they had to rely on big plays from Ryan Williams. And while Ryan Williams is a phenomenal athlete, I mean, you're relying on a 17-year-old freshman to consistently make plays for you. Jalen Milroe, I thought he still played a pretty good game. He threw a pick 6 early in the game. That's kind of the difference here. It was a big tip drill, and Vanderbilt almost messed up by going out of bounds at the 1. Happened really early in the game. Vanderbilt went up 14-0. I'm like, oh, like Vanderbilt, is this going to be something sustained throughout the whole game? Or is it going to be they fought in the first half and then it just ended up not being a close game. Like Michigan games last year, like first halves, like it looked like, this team's competing. Never mind. Michigan gets a couple of touchdowns and they run the clock out and the game is over. Right.
Yeah.
So, but
Arkansas just scored a touchdown to take the lead over Tennessee.
Oh, really? I'm about to see it because I'm a little bit behind. Oh, they made a quarterback change. Wow.
But yeah, I completely agree with your take on that. Like I thought coming out of the second half, Bama came and scored right away. And I'm like, oh, well, here we go. The route is on, right? Wrong. You know what I mean? Like I gotta give all my props to Diego Pavia, the way he was able to make plays. And it almost reminded me of the year that Johnny Manziel did it at that game in Tuscaloosa when A&M went in there and won it. And he kind of willed them to a victory over a top-ranked Alabama team at that time. And it's actually ironic because Johnny Manziel was actually Diego Pavia's childhood idol and why he wears number 2.
Hold up. All right. Sorry. A little bit of a connection issue. Say what you said about Diego Pavia and Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, it's the way that he orchestrated that game today against Bama kind of brought back flashbacks of when Johnny Manziel and A&M went into Tuscaloosa and did it. And I said, ironically, Diego Pavia actually wears number 2 because his childhood idol was actually Johnny Manziel on the field, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
let's clear that up.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that is. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't have too much more to say about this game. I mean, in terms of football, like Vanderbilt was able to hit run plays when they needed to. Alabama was able to get some tackles for loss on the edge when Vanderbilt would try to go outside. Vanderbilt was able to get some nice passing plays and did a really good job in play action. Like, there's just not too much to say about this game just because of the level of impact this just has for Vanderbilt and their program. Like, this doesn't happen. I mean, literally 0-60 versus top 5 teams in their program history, and they're able to come out with the win tonight. Like, congrats to Vanderbilt. They did a really good job.
There's a reason why their student section was carrying the goalpost down Broadway in Nashville tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that, easily the biggest win in Vanderbilt football program history.
For sure. As does Arkansas convert flip pass? Nope, no 2-point conversion. So Tennessee can win with just scoring 6 points. Oh, Fafita and Texas Tech are playing. That's cool. All right. Do we want to get into Ohio State?
Yeah, we can go there.
I was not impressed with Ohio State. I was impressed by a couple of things. I thought their defense played really well, but Cade McNamara sucks.
Yeah.
I think Will Howard, he made some good, like that one throw to Igbuka in the end zone was pretty good. The one that I think they got for their 4th touchdown of the game. That was a pretty impressive throw. Jeremiah Smith made a really impressive catch as well. Will Howard is able to run and get a touchdown. Like, he can make plays, but you don't want a quarterback that can just make those certain plays. You want a quarterback that can play consistently throughout a game when it comes to the big games, because you're a team that has a competent roster and don't need to rely. You just need consistent quarterback play. And Will Howard for the first half was like non-existent in this game, like at all. Ohio State had a 7-0 lead and they didn't really do anything. And Iowa, they don't have the special teams and we're able to win the field position battle in this game. I mean, Caleb Johnson in this running game didn't really get going at any points in this game either. And I mean, their passing game just doesn't exist.
No.
But I mean, Iowa, granted, they have a pretty good secondary. Castro and Deshaun Lee are both really good corners. Higgins is a good linebacker, was able to be impactful in coverage in the run game tonight, or technically the afternoon. But yeah, man, I wasn't impressed with Ohio State today. I thought they played a good second half, but I think they also just willed Iowa down. But the comparison I wanted to make with Ohio State is, weren't we talking about the same stuff with Michigan last year?
Yeah. I mean, top to bottom, you can make that comparison. Top to bottom, Ohio State has the most talented roster in college football.
Other than quarterback.
But what they have makes up for it. And that first half was abysmal, dude. Oh my gosh. I watched it and I'm like, man, this offense is non-existent. They really just need to establish that ground game with Judkins and Travion, and that's it, dude. Because Will Howard, if you're asking him to drop back 40 times a game, probably not going to happen. I don't think he's that kind of quarterback, dude. No.
I mean, only 25 passing attempts, but he probably dropped back 30 to 35.
And their defense, I mean, it's Iowa, but their defense is legit. And
yeah,
I'm really excited to watch them play Oregon, because I think we're kind of both trying to figure out who both these teams are. You know what I mean?
I think I do have a better of Ohio State just because of, they didn't lose too much, especially on the defensive side. They lost some offensive pieces. Yes, Kyle McCord transfers. Marvin Harrison goes to the draft. But you get Jeremiah Smith and you get Quinshad Judkins, man. I mean, you were able to rebuild your roster And I mean, Will Howard, he's okay. Like, I'm not going to say he's bad. I honestly think Devin Brown would be better for their situation just because I think he is a better runner and probably has more arm talent in terms of throw power, but I just don't think he's accurate nor makes the good decisions enough to be their starter. And I don't think they're confident. Like, I think if they weren't a national championship favorite, like if they were top 10 and didn't have this crazy expectation, like I think if it was like Ohio State in 2021 with Stroud, they'd be starting Brown. But that's my personal opinion. I mean, we could talk about Oregon for a hot second. Obviously, this game's going to be played next week in primetime. And Oregon, man, I know they beat Michigan State by a significant margin and dominated that game, but they did not look pretty doing it. They struggled. They weren't able to get things going in the first half. Dylan Gabriel threw 2 picks against not a great Michigan State defense in terms of pass coverage. I mean, Jordan James is an elite running back when he can get blocks for him and get into space. But, I mean, Tez Johnson ended up Evan Stewart ended up getting hurt in that game. Tez Johnson didn't have the explosive game that, people thought he might have. And I've said this about Oregon, man. I mean, preseason, like I thought they had a good roster, but I'm not a fan of their scheme nor the quarterback that they have distributing the ball. I mean, and they had the same thing with Bo Nix last year. Yeah, they can win against the teams that they're better than, but when it comes to even competition, they don't look amazing. Like, I'm not impressed with that much on this team.
No, and I think that you look at Oregon, I mean, from a perspective of last year, they weren't able to get over that hurdle, which was Washington. And I don't think Dylan Gabriel's a better quarterback than Bo Nix was for that system.
If Dylan Gabriel was a good quarterback, man, he would be in the draft by now, bro.
Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of feel like they're going to run into a buzzsaw against Ohio State. And plus, the Big Ten style of football is a lot different than what they were playing in the Pac-12. I think Ohio State's got a really physical defense. At times against Michigan State, they looked very underwhelming, and some other times they looked explosive. You know
Shout
what I mean?
out Fernando Mendoza, dude. Holy crap. He just threw a nice, deep crossing route. Sorry, continue.
But, yeah, and it's kind of looking like Tennessee's.
They're in the red zone. Nico drops back, delivers a strike over the middle of the field, broken up by the Arkansas defensive back room, 4th and 5 with 6 seconds to go.
Cal takes the lead.
Look at my play-by-play skills, Jonan, right there. Oh, yep, Jaden Knott touchdown. Wow.
But, yeah, I don't know. I think Oregon's got skill and they got talent, but I just don't know how they're going to be able to match up against that Ohio State secondary.
I also think
really good.
I think Dan Lanning, in terms of game plan, is extremely overrated.
Yeah,
I'm gonna come out and say it.
I think he's more of a rah-rah guy.
He's a rah-rah, and he's a great recruiter, man.
Yeah.
I mean, was he really that good of a defensive coordinator, or was just Georgia that damn good?
Well, they had like 15 draft picks on that defense.
Like it was ridiculous how good that team was. The other game in the night slate, do we want to recap what just happened with Minnesota and USC?
I didn't have a lot of eyes on that game.
I watched this one pretty good.
Go ahead.
Dude, Max Bromser, he's not an elite quarterback, but he made the throws that he needed to, and then Darius Taylor and Marcus Major were able to do things on the ground against this USC defense. The USC struggled to tackle against physical backs. We saw this against Michigan a couple weeks ago. USC's run game was able to come into fruition, but Miller Moss, he struggled in this game. 5.3 yards per attempt, 2 picks. If you watch him make some throws, he had some overthrown balls. Kyron Hudson and Deuce Robinson were both good in this game, but I go back. USC has an open touchdown with Zachariah Branch on a post route with an inverted receiver on trips, and he just completely misses a wide open touchdown because he overthrows him. Like, USC just they're not there yet. And it's the first year of Riley and a new staff. I don't think Miller Moss, I think he's going to go to the draft. I still think Moss is a talented quarterback, man. And oh my God, Arkansas with the
off the
upset. Oh my gosh, Sam Pittman just saved his job, dude.
Pig
What?
Suey.
Oh my.
Dude, our top 12 this week is going to be
Oh
very
my
interesting.
gosh. Yeah, because the number 1, number 4 team, Mizzou lost.
10, number 9 lost, 10 lost, 11 lost.
Wow. Well, we know who's going to stay at 1 at least.
Yeah.
And 2. But yeah, this is a big shakeup, man. But to cap this game off, I mean, the Minnesota defense did a really good job of just containing USC. Not a whole lot of tackles for loss, but I mean, USC just struggled with the turnovers. You're able to win the turnover battle in this game if you're Minnesota. They're able to dominate on the ground. They did a really good job. And shout out Darius Taylor, Walled Lake Western graduate.
Yeah.
And he's a hell of a football player.
Now, so would you say that Miller Moss is going to be in your Heisman ballot again?
Not going to be in my Heisman ballot next week. And okay. I don't know. Jalen Milroe might not be in my Heisman ballot next week.
I just wanted to see where we were at.
I really only have it. I really have a top 1. And how I like saw some highlights from that because I mean Ashton GT is a walking highlight reel. Yeah, Ashton GT tonight, 13 carries, 186 yards,
3 tutties,
14.3 yards per carry, and 3 touchdowns. And he only played the half of the game against Utah State. This kid should win the Heisman, without a doubt.
And think about if they would have actually been able to knock Oregon off, which was a really close game.
Yeah, like, and I think if they play that game again, dude, they definitely would have a shot too.
We'd be talking about Boise State in a whole different light right now.
I mean, they're definitely going to jump up in the rankings.
Oh yeah, and I think they have an outside shot to really make it because, I mean, with as good as this kid is, I mean, he's going to carry them through a lot of games. He can't be stopped.
No, and wow, Spencer Petras, dude, shout out to him, 372 yards and 3 touchdowns. Did not know he was capable of that. But I mean, Maddox Madsen's, he's a solid quarterback and can get what it does. But like, dude, Boise's defense ain't like the worst thing. They're not great. They're competent. And they also can get some stuff done in the receiving game as well. They're able to distribute to a lot of pass catching options. And it kind of allows them to get GT free running lanes. I mean, there's the combination between the passing game and running game. Obviously, you lean on GT a little bit more, but still, like he's an excellent back that gets stuff done.
He's the best individual player in college football right now.
In terms of just impact and talent, yes.
And yeah,
because Boise, I would certainly think that Boise State wouldn't even be a Mountain West contender without him.
The dominance that he shows on the field, it's unmatched. I mean, we talked about, like Kenneth Walker effect on Michigan State. Like
this is that on crack.
Yeah. What class is he?
JT?
Yeah.
I want to say he's a junior red shirt. I can double check that for you. Junior. Yeah. So he's going to be an NFL running back next year.
Yeah, he'll be gone. But
I mean, he was good last year too. I mean, he's not this dominant, but I mean, a lot of Boise State's like backdoor success because this team started out 0-3, 1-2, I believe, last year. They made the change at head coach and they ended up winning the Mountain West Conference Championship.
I mean, shouts out to him for sticking it out with Boise because, I mean, he could have easily took the money and went and played somewhere else. But
imagine if Michigan had Justin GT and Cole.
Yeah. We couldn't even get ETN, the little ETN.
Yeah. Oh, Trevor Etienne's pretty solid. Well, we'll talk about Georgia at some point. But
let's do an instant reaction on this Tennessee-Arkansas game.
Yeah.
That game just went final. Arkansas sealed the deal 19-14.
I'll be completely honest. This game was really slow in the first half. I mean, the score is 3-0, 3-7 at halftime. Yeah. Like really slow game. Then Tennessee scores 14 straight. And then Arkansas ends up coming back and winning this game. I mean,
yeah, where's my thing is like we were talking about, like, where's the downfield passing? Where's Squirrel White? Where's Brew McCoy? Like, I know they ran the ball with Dylan Sampson with success and they have a good defense, but for as many pass attempts as Nico had for him to.
And it's not like I don't think this Arkansas defense is amazing. Like,
yeah,
they played close with Texas A&M, but like at the beginning of the season, dude, they were allowing 20. They allowed 31 against Oklahoma State, which that game was terrible, and you looked like made Alan Bowman actually look like a good quarterback. UAB shouldn't allow 27 points against. I mean, they've been playing better recently, under the 20s. But I think Tennessee this is the problem with having such a young quarterback. And their run game was successful with Dylan Sampson, and he's probably going to be another running back that gets drafted. Because, these Tennessee running backs, Jalen Wright, Small, and then now Dylan Sampson. Tennessee does a pretty good job of having a consistent backfield. But, dude, no one on this outside. I thought Brew McCoy was going to be like a guy that could be a day 2 pick.
Yeah.
And
guy from USC.
He's struggled with injury. Dante Thornton, you get him from Oregon. He's not ended up to be anything. Squirrel White, he got a lot of targets and receptions, but
Thornton did. I'll say Dante Thornton did show up against Oklahoma, though.
Yeah, but dude, Tennessee in their last couple of games, Oklahoma, you didn't look too hot against. I think this team's just not used to getting punched in the mouth. Because they had 3 really easy games to start out the season. Nico looked like this big, flashy player. Against Oklahoma, you struggle offensively, and now tonight you really struggle offensively, only putting up 14 points. Are you just a team that can do it against inferior competition? And it's not like Arkansas. You should be better than Arkansas in terms of roster talent, right?
Yeah.
You lose an impactful linebacker like Chris Paul Jr. to the portal, dude. He's on Ole Miss right now, which they actually looked pretty good today. But I don't know, man. I'm Tennessee, bro.
It's up and down, man. It's a crazy week. I want to talk
my evaluation, though, did go down with them after they played Oklahoma. I wasn't as high on them as I was because I saw some things. I'm like, dude, if Oklahoma actually had an offensive line and some receivers, bro, they could take this team down.
I still think the defense stands strong. I'm standing strong on my stance with Tennessee's defense, but surprisingly, their offense has kind of shit the bed here recently. You want to talk about? You want to get into the Texas A&M Missouri game? Yeah,
I was able to watch bits and pieces of this game. I was calling a game during the noon slate today for Michigan Soccer Network, which that game ended in mercy. But I saw some highlights. I saw the box score. Connor Wegman, dude. What a way to bounce back after being really bad in week 1. He made some throws today where I'm just like, dude, and he doesn't have to be a guy that's got to be this volume 40 pass drop back. Luckily his backfield with Le'Veon Moss did really well today.
Yeah.
But dude, they don't have the standout receiver like I said previewing this game. But, dude, Terry Bussey, Noah Thomas, who's been on that team for a couple of years, they have some guys that are able to make plays and get those third down receptions in the receiving game and be consistent weapons for them. And I've kind of been on the Missouri hate train, and I'm kind of glad I didn't think they would lose this bad, but I'm kind of glad it came in fruition.
Yeah.
Dude, they were not good.
Defensively, Missouri, there was really nothing they could do. Wegman, he really looked that good today. He was able to do it through the air and on the ground. And Missouri kind of had some bad breaks in the beginning of the game. There was a streak route where Theo Weiss was wide open and Brady Cook overthrew him. And then they had a touchdown pass on the next play to Luther Burton that would have made it 7-10 Missouri, and it got called back on an ineligible man downfield. So they kind of had some bad breaks go their way early on in the game, and A&M just didn't stop scoring. And I'm pretty sure that this is Texas A&M's biggest margin of victory against a top 10 opponent in school history. I'll say right now that win puts Mike Elko on the map.
Yes.
As far as an establishing win, he had an establishing win today against a Missouri team that a lot of people thought were pretty good.
Not me, but yes.
Jimbo never really had in his time at Texas A&M, and I think that.
There was that Alabama win with.
He never sustained anything though.
Yeah.
But I think that win today brought a lot of grace with the A&M fan base with
And
Mike Elko.
dude, we talked a lot of shit about Texas A&M in week 1, and we talked a lot of shit about Notre Dame after their game. Notre Dame's a good football team, whether you want to believe it or not. I had them in my top 12. I'll have them probably there again. I mean, they looked pretty damn good last time they played Louisville. I think they had a bye week this week, so they did not play this week, so really no evaluation of how they played. But I think Texas A&M's like a top 15 team, man. I think I'm ready to put them in that category. I mean, new head coach, Evan Stewart, Walter Nolan. I mean, a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball leave your team, and then they're able to find their identity and what they like as the season goes on. They've been able to win some tough games, and now they get that big, significant establishing win. And they do it in dominating fashion too, something Jimbo never did. Like every game was like a one possession, came down, kind of got lucky. But this game was game scripted for Texas A&M to win.
Yeah, and they looked really good. I'll say that I think he's a freshman corner for Texas A&M, that Will Lee.
Yeah, and did you see the blanket?
The blanket thing that he sent for Theo Weiss? That kid did a lot of talking, and he did a lot of backing up today.
Yes.
Texas A&M's defense is legit, dude.
They've been legit for the last few years, man. I mean, Nick Scorton's one of the best players off the edge. He's going to be probably a top 15, top 10 pick.
Wigman can play like he did today, he's
always had the talent. It's just a matter of him putting it together.
Not only are they going to be a legitimate team, but I think they could be a legitimate contender if they play like they did today.
I'm gonna coast on the breaks there a little bit. I want to see how they play, because this could also just be one of those games that, first of all, Missouri's not that good, and second of all,
I mean, but 31 points, good, dude. Like that game was over. It was over quick, dude.
Yeah,
I watched it. It was over quick.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think we won't get a good read off Mississippi State in 2 weeks.
No.
I want to see how they play versus LSU and South Carolina. Kind of bouncing back off. They looked okay against Arkansas. They looked good against Florida. Obviously, you look like crap versus Notre Dame. They had a close game with Bowling Green, which I don't know what to make of Bowling Green right now. Did they win today? Because Connor Bazelak's a good quarterback. They did beat Akron by 7 points. Dude, what the hell? I thought they were going to be amazing. They gave Penn State and Texas A&M a run for their money. And now they just not on crap. Okay. Wow. All right. Time to talk Georgia. Georgia time.
Hold on. Before we get to Georgia, though, we ain't sneaking past your boys, bro.
Oh, Louisville?
Yeah. They dropped another one today, dude. And Kevin Jennings had himself a day, bro. I mean, from a passing perspective and a rushing perspective, second week in a row that Louisville can't stop a cold, dude. What's going on?
I'm going to be completely honest. This team's just not the same team it was last year, man. No, I think I will be completely honest. Louisville lucked their way out of a lot of games last year. You look at the Virginia game. Notre Dame, I think they won that game cleanly, but they had multiple times. Georgia Tech, you kind of luck yourself out on. They got the big end of the stick last year, and this year they're kind of coming up on the short end of the stick in these close competitive matchups. And I mean, look, Shuck played good. Isaac Brown did a good job running the ball. There's no one amazing in the receiving game other than Ja'Cory Brooks.
Ja'Cory Brooks had a nice day.
Yeah, Ja'Cory Brooks is going to be an NFL talent.
And let me say that their offense wasn't the reason they lost today.
No, their defense, man, I don't know what it's been, but they just cannot get a pass rush going. They can't get tackles for loss. Giolette's supposed to be this amazing edge guy, outside linebacker, dude. He didn't even pop up on the stat sheet today. Maybe he's hurt. TJ Quinn's been another guy who was a focal point on that team last year. And there's just no one amazing and standing out on this defense. Yeah, Giolette had one tackle today. One tackle. That guy's supposed to be a, sought after edge rusher. He's just not doing a good job. Like I said, I didn't catch too much of this game. I will go back and rewatch this tomorrow. And because we'll let Andrew give a little bit of his thoughts. And I want to go back and watch a few games that I didn't get to today and elaborate on them. We'll call it we'll do the Laugh Now, Watch Later segment.
There you go.
That was all improv right there. But I mean, I don't even think like SMU played great defensively either. They were able to come away with one interception, but that was it, dude. I think offensively, with them having Kevin Jennings, ever since they made the switch with after him and Preston Stone, they struggled early in the season against Nevada. They pick up an early season loss versus BYU, which BYU is actually looking like an okay team.
Yeah.
But I mean, ever since the TCU game, dude, this SMU team's getting it rolling, and they could be a legit ACC contender. The rest of their schedule: Stanford, Duke, Pitt, Boston College, Virginia, and California. I mean, this is an attainable ACC championship SMU team.
SMU has a legit dual threat quarterback that I would die for right now.
Yeah, and I mean, Brashad Smith is a great running back too, and able to give them really good looks for Jennings, and it's just going to kind of be, it's kind of just going to be like, hey, who wants to go off on the ground game this week? So
yeah.
All right, let's talk Georgia. I wasn't the most attentive to this game, but I will say I watched a good amount of bits and pieces. I think Trevor Etienne played a solid game today, man. This is the first time where I was like, dude, Trevor Etienne looks like a difference maker back. Statistically wasn't great, but I think he did a good enough job. This receiving group and this connection with Carson Beck, dude. I mean, if you look at the stat sheet, it looks good, but I saw some stuff today where I'm just like,
it's not there, dude.
It's something is not there, and Carson Beck's not the. I think if Carson Beck went to the draft last year, he would have been the second or third highest quarterback taken.
But if you look at this Georgia team on offense from a receiving aspect, they don't have anybody that is a go-to guy like he had with Brock Bowers last year.
Or Ladd McConkey.
Yeah, or Ladd McConkey. And when you have a Ladd McConkey and a Brock Bowers, it kind of opens it up for everybody, and it's a lot easier on your quarterback. I don't see that with Georgia.
Yeah, man. I think Colby Young, I mean, he's a transfer from Miami. He was a big play guy at Miami. I think he could end up becoming that guy, but he's more of a one-on-one, 20, 30 yards deep, throw it to him. He'll make a physical catch. Like you thought Dominic Lovett, and when he was at Missouri 2 seasons ago, he was a guy that could do it all, man. Catch it on screen passes, catches in seams, catch it on the outside of the numbers. Like this dude did a really good job. And I mean, he did have that screenplay for a touchdown, but he's been non-effective. And I think the Ra Thomas stuff, him not being able to be on the team because, he's just outside of football, not a good person. I think this really hurts him because I think he was expected to have a big role in this Georgia offense, and he's just not able to.
Yeah, I kind of walk away from this like the way I look at Georgia is not the way I looked at them last year or
coming into this season even, dude.
Yeah, they're still good, and I think at this point anybody can win it, but they got to get some stuff rolling, man. They got to figure out who their go-to receiver is. You know what I mean? Like, obviously they weren't very tested today on defense because Auburn's just not a good offensive team right now. I mean,
Cal goes up 20-10. Oh my gosh, the Calgorithm.
I was off. But yeah, I mean, Auburn outside of Keandre Lambert-Smith, I mean, there's really nobody that was going to test Georgia today. So, and they, after giving up all the points that they did to Alabama last week, we kind of need to see what their defense is against.
I also think
competition.
I think if you play a different quarterback than Peyton Thorne,
which
I mean, he didn't play awful like Peyton Thorne did in like the first couple weeks of the season against Cal, but didn't play great. Didn't play great. Oh wow, Kansas is about to move to 1-5. Arizona State 4-1, dude. I mean, Kansas does technically have a chance at a Hail Mary, but I don't trust Jaden Daniels. So we'll see.
Yeah, how about them Sun Devils?
Dude, the Big 12 is a fun conference, man. Iowa State picked up a good win against Baylor. I had this game on. I was intrigued. Baylor is actually a good, solid football team. I think Dave Aranda deserves one more year with this team. But, I mean, Iowa State, 265 on the ground, 277 through the air. Rocco Becht improves every single week. And he's got Jalen Jackson and Abu Sama and Carson Hansen in the backfield, dude. I mean, this team could be legit, bro. Like a legit, like Big 12 contender, a legit, like maybe wins a game. I don't think they're national championship contenders, but I think they could win a game in the college football playoff, or at least give a team a challenge. And Arizona State moves to 4-1 on the season. How about Kenny Dillingham, baby? He takes over probably the worst job you can have with all the Herm Edwards bullshit and whatever. And just, does a great job of just willing this team to win. Shout out Sam Levitt, baby, former Spartan.
While we're talking about that, let's talk about another guy in Cignetti, who took over Indiana. They had another win today, 17-point win. Curtis Rourke, dude, transfer from Ohio. He's lighting it up for Indiana. And
if you remember 2 years ago, Curtis Rourke was a really damn good quarterback at Ohio. Last year, he dealt with a lot of injury problems. Ohio wasn't as good. Dude, this Indiana team
is legit, dude. And
I think we'll backtrack a little bit. I think their offense is legit.
No, and like that's what I'm trying to get to. They have some legitimate options out on the outside. Elijah Surratt had a huge day today. The James Madison kid. And then Keyshawn Williams also had a nice day. Receiver from Wake Forest. But shout out to Cignetti, man. He came in with an attitude. He went in the portal. He got some guys.
McMillan just dropped the ball in the end zone.
You know what I mean? Like, Indiana's role. Like, if Indiana were to play Michigan next week, dude, I'd probably take Indiana, bro.
They do play Nebraska in 2 weeks. They have a bye going into next week.
But
did you watch
that?
With a
guy
Nebraska
like that, though, how long is he going to be there after he gets them established? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I don't think he'd take the Florida job, dude. That job is impossible. But the Indiana job's also kind of impossible, right? I mean, Indiana's not a winning football program, and he has this team at 6-0, dude. And honestly, if he really wants to maximize on the compensation he'll get as a head coach, he should leave this year. But yeah, man. I don't even think Northwestern played that bad, dude. Like they look solid on offense. Their quarterback Jake Losh, their passing game looked good this game. I'll say that. Bryce Kurtz and AJ Henning. I mean, they were both able to be really productive. Just Northwestern isn't all there. They had a little bit of a fluky but good year last year. A lot of momentum with David Braun willing this team to win. I mean, dude, you lose to Washington 24-5, and then you lose to Duke 26-20. I mean, like, it's not like you're completely out of these ball games and getting shut out like 50-0. Like, you're doing a pretty good job of willing to compete and willing to have some sort of resiliency towards these teams. And if you're Northwestern, I mean, there's only room for improvement, man. So they could get there. But their practice field looked pretty cool today. With their
I actually enjoy that little.
I think it's better than Ryan. I think it's better than Ryan Field.
Yeah, I mean, I like the little. What was that, Lake Michigan?
Yep, because Evanston's just north of Chicago. So,
and I think you got to give David Braun a little bit of credit for what he inherited and what he was able to do with Northwestern last year. You know what I mean? Given the circumstances of them, getting rid of Fitzgerald at the beginning of the year and him being able to guide them to a bowl game and win a bowl game. I think Braun's legit, dude. I think with them, revamping their facilities and kind of building that program up, they could be successful.
Oh my God, Florida won. I didn't even know that. I didn't watch that game at all. So I'll go back and rewatch that. But yeah, just to kind of feed off what you said. I mean, Northwestern, high academic standard, really hard to put consistent, successful seasons together. But I think if there's a guy to lead them to any type of having postseason or Big Ten success, I think David Braun's their guy. You want to talk about what happened on Friday with Syracuse and UNLV?
Yeah, we can go there.
Yeah, dude. What a football game. Like I said, this has just been an amazing week. We all said it was going to suck, and it's just been amazing. It's been a great day of college football.
Yeah.
Kyle McCord, dude, like, I know he threw 63 passes, but he did a damn good job of willing this Syracuse team to victory because he didn't get a lot of help from his defense. Shout out Oronde Gadsden, dude. That kid made a lot of sick plays in this game. Jackson Meeks was able to get a couple touchdowns. LaQuint Allen able to get it done on the ground and through the air. And give this UNLV team some credit, man. I mean, losing a 3-point game to a pretty good Syracuse team, in my opinion.
Haj Malik Williams, dude, he's a baller, bro.
The kid's legit, bro. He's way better than Matthew Saluka will ever be.
Yeah.
It's tough. Shout out Ricky White, another former Spartan that I can always
another former Spartan doing big things on the landscape.
You know what though? Don't get me wrong. I like Peyton Thorne when he's at Michigan State, but dude, I'm so glad he's sucking complete ass because I needed. Is Caden Hauser starting at Eastern Carolina? I haven't watched a single game of theirs, or East Carolina. I'm gonna go look at that. But yeah, talk about what you saw from this game, Justin.
It was just, I thought going into the game, Syracuse was a 6.5 point dog. And I just felt like this game was going to be a high scoring game that neither team was going to play defense, and it lived exactly up to that billing. The quarterback play on both sides of this game was awesome. If you watch the game, it went to overtime. UNLV kicked a field goal. Syracuse got backed up on a 3rd and long situation, got the first down. Eventually went on to get the game-winning touchdown in overtime. Hats off to UNLV. I kind of underestimated them a little bit going into the game, not going to lie. I thought
I've watched them play the last couple weeks now, dude. I watched their Fresno game, and I watched when they play Kansas, dude. Like, they're pretty legit.
And like I said, Haj Malik Williams, after watching him, total respect for that kid. He's a baller. He can throw the ball. He can run the ball. Dual-threat quarterback. Kyle McCord almost made some mistakes to kind of cost his team.
Yes.
Again, they had a 10-point lead there for a second, and I thought they would pull away. Kyle McCord kept Syracuse in the game. But all in all, a great football game, man. Like, probably one of the best of the weekend, to be honest with you.
I would agree. So, by the way, Caden Hauser, he did play today. You want to hear this stat line? It's pretty amazing.
Let's hear it.
11 for 28 passing, 84 yards, 3 yards per attempt, 1 interception, 3.7 QBR. All right. And then how's Noah Kim doing? I got to really look at this. I got to do this for Andrew, dude, because he's not here right now. Which we explained earlier in the
quarterbacks
show.
Leading the way.
Yeah. Let's see. Coastal Carolina. Oh,
unfortunately for Andrew, he's glued to a toilet seat right now.
Yeah, that's true. That sucks. Noah Kim's played. He's actually played pretty well, but he's the backup. So shout out Ethan Vasco, the Coastal Carolina quarterback. They're 4-1 on the season, man. Got a bounce back win versus Old Dominion. Dude, good job. Arizona is down. What are some other games we could go to?
Let's talk about Clemson, Florida State.
Yeah, okay. I did want to talk about this. Awesome.
Yeah, I want to talk about this game just from a perspective of Florida State because I want to know where they're going from here because obviously
not to a bowl game most likely. That's where they're not going.
They're not going anywhere, and I really just wonder like with the future of this program.
Dude, I really honestly, Justin, I don't know. You think a lot of these guys like Marvin Jones, Patrick Payton on the defensive side, Fentrell Cypress, and then offensively, DJU's breaking his finger from actually having to do assignments because he's got to prepare to actually have a job outside of football next year. He can still go be an MLB pitcher, by the way. He was drafted in the 20th round last year, but I mean, I don't know, dude.
I just wonder about Mike.
1 yard per attempt rushing the ball, man.
I just wonder about Mike Norvell's job security because I felt like he was on the verge.
They will not fire him this year.
I'm not saying they're going to fire him, but I'm just wondering how quickly, the people in Tallahassee are going to turn on him because I felt like Florida State was about to turn the corner and be one of those kind of stalwart teams in college football. And they're having an awful year. Yeah. I mean, and on the other side of it, I do want to say good things about Clemson too, because I thought I was very critical of Dabo Swinney and Clemson after they lost to Georgia. And to be honest with you, man, they've kind of bounced back over these last 4 weeks, man. They've been playing some good ball.
Yeah, dude.
Klubnik's turning it around. Maffa had another huge day today. I mean, Clemson looks pretty good, dude.
I mean, the ACC at the top, it looks pretty good. I mean, I still say Louisville's up there, even if they lost to SMU. But I think SMU is a good team in the ACC. You got Syracuse, you got Miami, who might lose. Cal could be up there for the ACC for all we know, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just the competition at the top, and then we have the shitters at the bottom, like, you know, Florida State, Stanford, who stunk it up today. I don't know. ACC is actually not a bad conference this year. They have some quality football out there, but dude, I mean, Brock Lennon, he didn't look great. He just looked mighty average in his first start in forever. I think since last year in that bowl game. I mean, dude, I just think that for the Clemson purposes, I mean, their defense seems to be improving every week. They're getting more and more guys out there. I mean, Antonio Williams, he was able to be their standout guy, a guy that was hurt a lot in his freshman season, coming in as a sophomore now. He was the leading receiver today, had a nice post route for a catch. TJ Moore, Bryant Westco, I mean, Jake Bringstool. Like, dude, this team is going to be really, really good when it comes to week 11 and week 12 and week 13. And I think that they're going to be able
to knock on the door.
Yeah, dude. I think they're a really good football team, man. Just some brief thoughts as we wrap up this show. And we want to say thank you for watching. And also, if you're listening to audio and podcast, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, man. Because if you should want to see our beautiful faces, especially Justin's.
Yeah.
Rutgers, Nebraska, dude. That was a terrible football game. I don't even care that Nebraska won. Etienne Kelly-McManus looked awful. Dylan Raiola looked awful. The whole game was just awful. Like, I thought it was Iowa versus Iowa out there.
Yeah, I figured that one would be a little bit muddy. The version that we're getting of Dylan Raiola right now isn't the version that ultimately he's going to end as in Nebraska. So I mean, he's going through some growing pains. Nebraska obviously was Andrew's upset of the week this week. Didn't really go in his favor, as none of ours did. We were all off this week big time.
You know what, though? It's trap week. We weren't able to get on the right upsets, but there were upsets today, so that's all that matters.
There were upsets, and I'm glad about that. You know what I mean? At least if my team went down today, there was 3 other top 10 teams that went down today, so That's good.
Houston got their first Power 5 win of the season.
Yeah.
Shout out Zion Chris, did it on the ground and through the air. TCU, you suck, by the way, because Houston should not be able to compete with any team in any Power 4 conference, other than maybe Florida State. Shout out Wisconsin. They got a pretty dominant win today.
Yeah.
Saw a little bit of that. Shout out Virginia, dude. 4-1 on the season. I was like, why is Virginia favored by this much? I almost thought about taking Boston College as my upset pick of the week. No, dude. Virginia is rolling.
And shout out to West Virginia. They handled business against Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State sucks.
Yeah. There was a lot of Ollie Gordon Heisman hype and Oklahoma State hype.
Oh, my gosh. I saw something, I think it was from Unnecessary Roughness on Twitter. It was Garrett Green versus Alan Bowman, and it was the LinkedIn Bowl. I got a good chuckle out of that.
The LinkedIn Bowl. Let's talk about Cal and Miami for a second before we get out of here. Dude, Fernando Mendoza's throwing the ball all over the place.
I talked about a little bit about this kid last year. He's looking really successful so far to start out this game. But yeah, dude, he's a good quarterback. Jake Knott, he's able to get it done receiving out of the backfield. But Miami, this is the second week that they've started out slow and are looking to struggle, dude. What do you do here if you're Miami? Because you go all in on Cam Ward, and you think you thought you had all the crystal ball banter done. And
I was high on Miami, and
dude, they might drop in my range, especially if they lose to Cal. Cal might make my top 12 really prematurely.
I'm still high on Cam Ward, though. Because
he's a great player.
It's not his fault. The defense is shit the bed here in the first half.
Well, he's under pressure right now. Fades, makes play, caught by Restrepo. Okay. Well, yeah, he's trying to do it all at his will. The ground game's kind of supporting here. Mark Fletcher is doing a pretty good job. Damian Martinez hasn't really been able to get it going too much yet. I don't know, dude. I think this Miami team's going to struggle when a team like I know you said Cal sucked dick going into this game on defense, but I mean they are a team that can provide some pressure and get it on Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And Cam Ward seems to struggle when he's got to go a little bit off script and it's not scripted up for him. I mean, we saw it with him at Washington State, dude. When things weren't schemed up for him, man, it didn't look pretty.
Yeah. I mean, as long as Miami, they're driving right now, as long as they come back and they handle business and win the game, to me anyway, that kind of puts Cam Ward at least in the top 3 in the Heisman race. I think right now you're looking at a 3-man race with Cam Ward, Ashton Genty, and Travis Hunter.
Yeah, to me, it's a 1-man race. And I'm glad he's getting national recognition from like the media and everything. Because, I mean, I think it was on what's the game on my top left? I don't know what network it is right now. Some stupid game shows on. I still have my multi-view on from the 70-30 window, but both of the night games are on. So, but it was NBC. I mean, they gave a lot of props to Ashton Genty and being like, hey, this guy, and Nicole Auerbach did the same thing of Ashton Genty can be a Heisman guy. So,
oh yeah, he's definitely. There's no question.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for the show. We've hit about an hour. We will give a little bit of thoughts on Monday for games that me and Justin go back to, and Andrew as well when he comes back from. He might become the new NASA airplane with that much he's got to unload on the toilet.
Dude, I told him about that Taco Bell, man. It gets you every time, dude.
Yeah, especially when you're not an experienced Taco Bell goer.
Right.
But like me, I actually eat Taco Bell a little bit too much. It's kind of a problem. I eat fast food a little bit too much. But make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Make sure you're following us on audio as well, Spotify and YouTube. Follow us on socials at TikTok, Instagram, and X, because when Andrew's currently not fighting for his life out there, he does a really good job posting on social media. Justin does a really good job of putting everything together. This is a great 4th and Goal team that only continues to get better and better. And you guys continue to give us more and more support. So make sure you guys are still following us on everything possible and giving us the exposure. And also, if you guys got suggestions, leave them in the comments, DM us on Instagram, DM us on Twitter, DM us on TikTok. Like, we're open to suggestions. If you think you'd be a valuable guest on the show, we're going to need to see some credentials a little bit, see if you've done any on-air work, but we'd love to have guests on the show throughout the season, especially in the off season too, talking about a lot of stuff going into next season and big free agent moves and all that sort of business. But yes, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Follow us on social media. Justin, any final words?
No, my Tigers got blasted today. Wanted to mention that really quick. The game was over in the first inning, but it's okay. Come Monday, my boy Tarek Skubal, he's coming back. He'll be on the mound starting Game 2 and hopefully Game 5. So I just got to give a shout out to the Tigers, man. I know this is a 4th and Goal podcast, which is primarily football, but we're going to mix a lot of different stuff in there.
Especially when it gets to the off season, man. We're going to do like a whole March Madness bracket. We're going to do pick'ems we're going to do NFL playoff bracket. We'll do a bunch of stuff. We're going to do a bunch of stuff for you guys. So that way we're not just like, oh, we're talking about football and no one wants to hear about football because, it's college basketball season or it's it's NBA playoffs or whatever season it may be. I mean, we're going to bring you guys the much content. Make sure you check us out early next week. Whenever the episode comes out, we'll talk about the NFL and what happened in that whole regard. We'll also come out with the 4th and Goal poll and talk about the AP Top 25. There'll be a lot of content to check out early next week. So make sure you guys are stay tuned for that. But yeah, it sucks to see the Tigers lose today. But have a good night, everybody. Have a good day whenever you're listening to this. Just have a good day and enjoy what you're doing because it's